let's make some plant-based paella featuring a fresh Spanish chorizo sausage.
All right, since we're making sausage, you know how I make sausage? Usually it's seitan. So for that, we need vital wheat gluten. How much vital wheat gluten do I need?
1 cup of vital wheat gluten, please.
There are other ways to do this. However, this recipe contains vital wheat gluten. So if you have a gluten sensitivity, this may not be the proper recipe for you.
All right, so we're gonna add all of our dry ingredients first, and that's why we started with the vital wheat gluten. So let's get some spices in there. 1 tablespoon of oregano.
I'm gonna eyeball, because it's what I do. Tablespoon. Don't be afraid to spice your seitan up. Like, use the herbs, use the spices. It's got no flavor on its own. You gotta give it some help. We actually argued about this a little bit. We debated this. We didn't argue. We don't really argue. What do I need, tablespoon?
Tablespoon each.
In the traditional authentic recipes, they call for sweet paprika and smoked paprika. And I was like, do we really need to use both? I mean, you know, are they that different? She won. So 1 tablespoon of each. If you don't have both, use whatever you got. I don't think it's gonna matter. I don't think it's crucial to the recipe.
Then we're gonna add just a teaspoon of cayenne pepper because some of our family members don't like it spicy, but if you like it...
But Mom's not eating this at all.
If you like it spicier, then you can put more in if you wish.
I called for a teaspoon.
A teaspoon. This recipe is gonna make roughly 4 links, so that should give you an idea of your adjustments for your spice
So
level.
a 1/4 teaspoon per link. Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. What else we got?
All right, now we need some more body, and we're gonna use 2 tablespoons of chickpea flour.
Now, you can use chickpea flour, you can use mashed up beans, you can use tofu. I prefer chickpea flour because it's very easy to, just go like this and measure out a couple tablespoons. Very simple. If you don't have actual chickpea flour, this is Bob's Red Mill, you can just use dried chickpeas, put them into your food processor and blend until they're a flour. That's really all it is. But what it does, don't leave it out. It is a conditioner for the dough. It's gonna help it to have a certain texture. Put too much of that, it's gonna be different. Put not enough, it's gonna be very different.
Then we have a dual process ingredient, and that is nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons.
And nutritional yeast is going to add an umami, a lot of flavor, a little cheesy goodness to it, but it's also a dough conditioner like the chickpea flour. So it's going to change the texture of the dough. Yes, you can do it with just nutritional yeast or just chickpea flour. If you had to choose just one, I would go with just nutritional yeast and use like 3 to 4 tablespoons. I do it like that a lot.
Then another thing that's primary for color, but it's also gonna add to the flavor components, and that's a tablespoon of beetroot powder.
Yep. I love using beetroot powder. It gives a nice red color. When it cooks, it kind of gives the browning effect. How much do I need?
A tablespoon.
A tablespoon. Okay, that's about a tablespoon. It gives the browning effect, like the Maillard effect that you get on animal products when they're cooked that way.
That is our dry ingredients, so we're gonna go ahead and blend those at this time. Now it's time for our wet ingredients. We're starting off with 3/4 of a cup of water. I have actually measured this out because if you're familiar with our seitan recipes, Brian likes to add little bits of water at a time because sometimes the hydration is not equal.
Okay, you can do that, but we have other wet ingredients too. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Sometimes I'll put all the wet ingredients together and then just not use it all, or what I could do is only use most of the water and put the rest of the wet ingredients in here. It makes it a little easier to mix if you do it this way. So
you can always add more water, but you can't take it out.
She hates it when I do this, go off the recipe, but this is kind of how I actually do things. So give me the rest of the stuff.
All right, a tablespoon of soy sauce. Today we're using tamari, but you can use whatever soy-like product you choose.
That's gonna add some salt, some umami, some more umami, and just a richness and a depth of flavor. Obviously, it's not part of a traditional chorizo, I know.
A tablespoon of white wine vinegar.
Again, probably not part of a traditional chorizo. This is to counteract the VWG flavor, and I've started using more than I would think, and it seems to work out well for me. That's probably a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half.
Then we're gonna add just a teaspoon of maple syrup. We don't really want a maple syrup flavor in this particular sausage recipe, but we do want that additional sweetness that is naturally inherent in most sausages.
Yeah, it's just a balancing thing. It's a flavoring thing. And maple syrup is just, we had it handy. You can use the sweetener of choice. I gotta wash my hands first. And then
1.5 tablespoons of garlic. Today we're using jarlic because we're lazy.
Yeah, and it's just easy. And I'm gonna try to squeeze out as much of that as I can. 1.5 tablespoons? Yeah, 2 tablespoons is good.
2, 3, you know.
Yeah, a couple, 2, 3. That joke comes from where I grew up. People talk like that. Anyway, and if you're from the Northeast PA area, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just mixing this together. And that's basically how I like to do it. I know I need at least this much liquid, so it's really simple. Now I can just dump it all in with impunity and not even have to think about it, and then start mixing. But now if I need more liquid, I can always add it. But I have all of the stuff that I need in there.
We're going to show you the texture you're looking for, so that way you will know at home if you need to add a little bit more water, or if it's too wet, add a little bit more Vital Wheat gluten.
Tell you right now, this ain't it. That is way too dry. It's getting there. I mean, it's close. So that 1/4 cup of water that I dumped out is probably exactly what I need. Almost like we planned it. Just putting in half of that again, and just scrape down the sides.
Brian really likes mixing his seitan in a glass mixing bowl with a metal spoon. That way he can scrape down the sides, because all of the binding agents that we have in here like to stick to the sides and not become part of the grouping. This way, everything that we put in there gets put in our sausage.
Okay, this is exactly the way I want it. I just want to scrape off the spoon a little bit and then get in there with the best tools you got, which are your hands. This is what I love about a glass bowl, is you know when it's clean. And I'm just scraping down all the sides with it. I don't really want to knead this too much because it's a sausage. It should be a little bit crumbly, but I want to make sure that all those pieces of garlic stay in there, or as much as possible. And just kind of make it into one mass. And it should feel spongy. It should feel soft, like a bread dough almost, except that it won't be sticky at all. It just doesn't stick to you at all. For the record, I ended up using about exactly the amount of water that we had written on the list, just in a different way.
So now we're going to clear the area so we can get to making our links.
Exactly. Making links. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I like to just use tin foil. Some people like to wrap it in parchment first and then tin foil, but I'll tell you that I did some research and the tin foil is really not bad for you. It's actually aluminum foil, not tin foil. Whatever. I grew up calling it tin foil. I just still call it tin foil. Anyway, some people like to wrap it in like cheesecloth and just do that really tight and tie them up. However you want to do it is fine. I just find that this way is super simple and convenient.
Sometimes with the cheesecloth, because of the weaving pattern of the cloth itself, if the seitan expands any, it's going to infuse into that weave, and that could be problematic.
Now, the reason for wrapping them at all is so that they don't expand, because seitan tends to expand when you cook it. But what I'm going to do is cut this into 4 pieces of roughly equal dignity without cutting through my tin foil.
Yeah, ideally you want to cut this not on your tin foil, but you know.
I like to keep my hands clean.
Brian likes to throw caution to the wind.
You will see the method to my madness in a moment. See, I didn't cut the tin foil.
Okay.
And I just grab one of these guys. Anyone, doesn't really matter. Oh, they stuck together. Yeah, I know I could use my hand, but where's the fun in that? Okay, you get your 4th piece, put it on the tin foil. Take the tin foil and pull it over so it overlaps. Grab your dough scraper and pull that back until it forms a cylinder-like shape. It'll look like a hot dog or a sausage. And I can show you what it looks like inside. See? It forms it into a sausage. But
you notice how it sprung open like that. You're gonna have to reform it again.
Okay, so I do that and then roll it up. And if you notice, I have a lot of tinfoil here because, as I said, they expand, they create pressure. And then I find the ends, give that a twist, give it a twist, and then tighten it up a little bit. You don't want to break the tinfoil. And you get 4 sausages about that big. Let's show you that one more time. Okay, so you take your seitan, put it on about the lower 1/3 of the tinfoil, fold this over so there's some extra, something like that. Get your scraper in there and just kind of shimmy it back. And you'll see it'll start to form that cylinder shape. Once it's there, roll it up. Find your ends, give it a twist, and good to go. First rule of homemade seitan sausage making. Do not be upset if your sausages all look a little bit different. It's okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
That makes it authentic.
Yeah, you know, it's homemade. Handmade even. And if anybody gets mad because their sausage is shaped differently, don't give them any more sausage.
That's right. No sausage for you.
Okay, we happen to have a huge Instant Pot, but it came with this really awesome steamer basket inside. So what I do with that is, first, a little bit of water in the bottom, a few cups, not much. I don't want it to come into the steamer basket, so just like, you know, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch on the bottom. Then take the steamer insert, set that in. Make sure the water has not come up past the level. Insert your steamer basket and look at that. See, it's just bubbling. That's where you want it, to where you can just touch water, but it shouldn't be inside it. I have a tendency to be pretty good at volumizing that way and getting it right every single time. Anyway, so take your sausage. I like to just turn the tails in a little bit so they fit in here. I'm gonna just lay them on top of each other. It's not crucial how they get in there as long as they fit. That's it. Just get them in.
We're gonna be steaming them, so the steam is going to go all over the place and cook them evenly.
We're gonna be pressure cooking them. That's important because you can steam them. Like if you wanted to use a steamer basket, if you didn't have an Instant Pot, you can totally do that. But I actually pressure cook them.
Okay.
You can steam it, but if you do, the water's gonna run out and you might have to replace it, or you need to start with a lot more water. That's why I like to pressure cook in the Instant Pot. The difference between steaming and pressure cooking in an Instant Pot, by the way, the only difference is one of them, you don't have the pressure released, so you don't see steam coming out all the time. That would be steaming. If you have it so that nothing comes out after it sets pressure, that's pressure cooking. They're completely different ways of cooking. A lot of people get that confused with Instant Pots. It is a pressure cooker primarily that can do other things. But anyway, into the Instant Pot, 30 minutes on pressure. When they're done, release the pressure, take them out, let them cool until you can touch them.
Okay, so there are two things that come to mind when I think about paella. One of them is multiple protein sources, and the other one is the rice. Now, traditionally, paella is made with a short grain rice because they want to retain the texture of the rice. So mushy rice in paella is no bueno. But today we are using brown rice because we've found if you cook brown rice properly, you get the same nice texture of the short grain rice with the additional benefit of a higher fiber content.
I'm all about the fiber. Lots of fiber for me. So I'm gonna make 1 cup of brown rice. And this is the easiest way I have found to make brown rice in the Instant Pot. Take 1 cup of brown rice, put it into a colander. Make sure no brown rice is stuck to the bottom of your measuring cup. Rinse. Once your rice has been rinsed, put it into the Instant Pot.
Dump it unceremoniously into the Instant Pot. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for what rice didn't make it, because you said unceremoniously. It all got in there. I didn't spill any.
Yeah. Unceremoniously doesn't mean messy.
Oh, true. Then I add 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of water. Now, coincidentally, I do the exact same thing when I'm making white rice in the Instant Pot. The only difference is in the cooking time. For brown rice, I cook it for 19 minutes and then release the pressure, fluff with fork, done. For white rice, I do 3 minutes, then let it naturally release for 15 minutes, and then fluff with fork. So they're just different methods, but they both come out perfect every single time.
All right, before you get too excited.
There's one thing that I almost forgot.
Another thing that's really important when it comes to paella is the color of the rice. And traditionally, it is colored with saffron. Now, saffron is a bit expensive.
Yeah, this little thing was 15 bucks.
Stamen. Crocus flowers.
Crocus flowers, yeah. Now, I've never actually cooked with it before, but I understand you don't need much.
No, like a pinch will do.
Yep. That's beautiful, though.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do, oh, geez. That's way more than I need for this. Just like that. Just like a few little pieces. Ooh, it smells nice.
It does. Saffron is a really lovely ingredient, but if you do not have it in the budget, don't worry, we have a wraparound for that.
Yeah.
You can use a combination of turmeric and paprika to create a similar color with
taste the same.
Additional nutritional benefits. Now, we are actually going to be adding both the turmeric and the paprika later on, but we're starting with saffron to be traditional.
19 minutes under pressure. So a quick word about the rice. You might be wondering, most paella recipes, you cook the rice right in the pan. Brown rice takes a lot longer to cook that way, so that's why we're not doing it that way. Plus, this is like a cheater paella. If anybody thinks that this is true, authentic, traditional paella, I am very sorry, because it's really not. It's just a rice dish to use up the chorizo, because if I'm gonna teach you how to make chorizo, I wanna teach you how to use it in something too. You know, it's that simple. So what are these?
Those are soy curls. Remember we talked earlier about multiple protein sources. We're gonna have the chewiness of the soy curl to complement the sliced link sausage, and we'll have one more that we'll add later.
And we need about half a cup?
Yep.
That's about half a cup. Now, just so you're aware, 3/4 of a cup of these is 120 calories and has 11 grams of protein. So you know what, we're gonna go with 3/4 of a cup, just because I'm feeling fancy today. Who am I kidding? That's a full cup. All right. To prepare these are dry. If you tried just eating this way, it would be nasty. It's like eating a dog treat.
Yeah, don't do that.
So there's a lot of ways to rehydrate. We're just gonna do a simple rehydration today, and that is just water. Some people use hot water. I don't find that that's necessary. I just use plain old tap water. Make sure you have plenty of it to cover and set that to the side for like 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, so now it's time to prep some of our additional ingredients. Our third protein source for today is going to be some pinto beans. We actually got some no salt added pinto beans from Walmart. We have drained and rinsed them and have them set aside for later.
Next up, some veg. For that, carrots. 2 like smallish carrots. Just these tips. What are we going to do with the tips?
I'm going to put them in a broth bag.
And what do we do with the broth bag?
We actually make our own homemade veggie broth. It's super easy, and it's basically using stuff that you would normally throw away, utilizing it to make a delicious and simple broth.
Now, I don't want the carrots to be too big. I want everything to be able to fit on your fork. These are nice and thin carrots, so I just cut one of them in half lengthwise, and then I'm just gonna chop little pieces, you know, just pieces of carrot. It's not that big a deal. Okay, our carrots are gonna take the longest of any of the veg that we have to cook. So I'm gonna keep them separate, but what else we got?
We have a half cup of green beans.
I did mention this is a cheater paella, right? We're using frozen.
We have actually fallen in love with frozen veg. 1, it doesn't go bad.
Yep.
2, we have a stand-up freezer, so we have plenty of room to store it. And 3, there are so many different vegetables you can find now in the freezer department of your local store, and they are picked and flash frozen at the perfect ripeness, so they're perfect. They're great.
So in some ways, they're actually better than fresh.
Yeah.
Depends on what you can get at your local store. For us, it's kind of a toss-up either way. Frozen seems to be a little bit cheaper though, so that's helpful.
So that was half a cup of green beans, and now half a cup of peas.
Peas are wonderful because they add a nice bright color. They're a little bit of a pop, and they're actually a good source of fiber and protein. And then?
An optional vegetable is spinach. We're gonna be using fresh spinach today. We have just a little bit left over, so we're just gonna toss it in.
We'll toss it in when I cook.
And then these guys, a 4th cup of green olives. If you do not like olives, you can omit them from this recipe, but if you do like olives, I highly encourage you to add them because their brininess is going to add just a lovely flavor punch throughout this dish.
If you don't like olives, we can't be friends anymore. I love olives. All right, 1/4 cup.
Yep.
These happen to be pimento-less, and I just tasted one. They're not as briny. They're actually really good. Try it.
Okay.
Try one. Eat one. It's good to taste your food as you're cooking. They're unique. Mm-hmm. They're not the harsh brininess of some green olives. I like these a lot.
You do not have to use pimento-less green olives. Actually, I think pimentoed green olives was more traditional. I didn't really research that, so I can't say for sure.
I don't know.
But whatever you have available, use that.
That looks good. About a 1/4 cup.
And much to Brian's dismay, that is the end of our vegetable list.
There should be onions, but there are no onions in paella.
Traditional paella does not utilize onions or bell pepper because they have a high moisture content. Typically, you would cook those first to let them release their aromas and their juices, but that would ruin the rice in a traditionally made paella.
But we're not making it traditionally.
But we're gonna stick.
But we're still not gonna use onions or bell peppers.
As traditional as we can.
So while other things are cooking, the sausage is sausaging and the rice is ricing. Actually, the rice is done ricing. Let's work on our soy curls. They have been soaking for all this time, which is like 15, 20 minutes. They should be nice and soft. If you get in there with your hands and you feel anything that feels like it might be crunchy, they need a few more minutes.
Push that crunchy guy to the bottom so that way he absorbs all those liquid.
Okay, now, these are fine, but to take it up a step and make them actually really good, you do this. Put it in your hand.
Why are you squeezing them into the bowl?
Because I'm an idiot.
Don't do that.
I always get confused on this. I want to squeeze them over this bowl and put them into this bowl. I'm a natural blonde, you know. I'm not sure if I've said that before. No offense to other blondes out there, natural or otherwise. Ugh. Someone said that they like to use like a fruit press, and there was somebody used a potato masher and all kinds of stuff to do this so that they didn't hurt their hands. I can appreciate that.
I'm sure, particularly as we're getting older in age. Arthritis sometimes is kind of cranky, so that
I have arthritis in my hands. But
using a device might be helpful.
it's good to have toys.
Yeah.
Okay, this water, dump it down the drain. There's no use for it. I don't like it. It doesn't taste good. If you don't squeeze these out, what happens is first, they retain a lot of moisture. And second, all that kind of cereally flavor stays in them. And by getting it out, these are great. I mean, now it looks like, you know, something we used to eat in the before times, right?
But they are also perfect vessels now for more flavor. They will absorb that like a sponge.
All right, so our rice is done and our sausages are done. I just wanted to show you what the saffron does to the rice. It's actually pretty cool. Look at that color, just like this vibrant yellow, and you can still see the saffron strands in there. I am not getting rid of those. We are consuming those suckers. That stuff's expensive. And I like to fluff it with a fork like this, just to make sure that nothing is sitting on the bottom of the pot, nothing burned, nothing.
Steaming up the camera.
Oops. I'm sorry. Look at that color. That's unbelievable. Fluffing it up also helps it to get rid of any excess moisture that might be in there. So works perfect. But anyway, we're gonna set that to the side for now. That'll go in soon. I need the other glove for what I'm about to do. By the way, linesman's gloves are optional, but recommended when you're dealing with hot seitan. Ideally, you wanna let these things cool before you work with them, but who's got time for that, right? So I'm just gonna try to unwrap one. It's hard to do.
Do you want me to do it, or you?
Nope, I got it. I will do it. Just so you can see what they look like. The things I do for you. Oh, look at that. Ugh. Beautiful. Nice and bouncy texture. Perfect. Ideally, you want to let these sit in the fridge overnight to firm up a little bit more. Well, like I said, we just don't have time for that today because, you know, we're making a video here and we're going to eat these tonight. So you can totally eat them right away. You don't have to, you know, put them away. But these two, we're not going to, ow, they're really hot. We're only going to need 2 of them for today's meal. And yes, I burn myself on a regular basis.
Patience is a virtue. It just happens to be one Brian doesn't have.
I don't know if you've ever seen Emerald when he says, "This is hot, you gotta let it cool," and he goes, "It's cool." That's me. I think we're gonna cut these up into slices, but I think I'm just gonna use tongs. All right, so I just wanna slice these. I'm gonna cut them on a bias so that we can get a nice piece. Oh, look at that texture inside. Really pretty. Nice and moist. All right, so let's just give you guys a little indication of what the sausage tastes like.
As we said at the beginning of this video, this is the fresh style, so this isn't a dried or cured sausage, obviously. It is a fresh.
It's very, like, bouncy, springy.
It has a great aroma.
Oh yeah, smells fantastic. Here we go.
It's very nice.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful texture. It's not overly chewy, so it breaks apart nice and easy as you chew it. It's gonna work really, really well in our paella. And now we're gonna go over to the stove to continue. All right, so I have my pan on the stove and it's at about 6.1 on our stove. And I just am gonna throw the carrots into the pan. That's right, no liquid, no oil, no butter. This is a low-fat recipe. If I was afraid they might stick, I might just do like a spray of oil, but I think it's fine. Okay, so after a couple minutes, you can hear the sizzle on there. I just want to add a little bit of veggie broth. Just like that, maybe a little bit more. That's probably a 1/4 cup or so. What I'm actually doing with that is kind of steaming, braising the carrots. I want them to soften up because they are the only thing that really needs to cook much out of all the veg. So I just want to get them to soften up a little bit. All right, so this is kind of boiling at this point. The next thing I want to do is add a little bit of flavor. This is Osem chicken flavor seasoning mix. It's basically the bouillon. So if you have any kind of bouillon that you like, this is totally plant-based and vegan friendly. I'm just going to use about a teaspoon. They do have a lot of sodium in them, so be careful, but they do add a really nice flavor that is hard to get otherwise. Even just the smell right now, it smells like chicken soup in here, okay? And then I'm going to add in all that frozen veg and the olives, and I want to get everything coated with that little bit of broth that was left. Our spinach was maybe a handful. There's not much there. And we want to just cook that until nothing's frozen anymore, and we want to wilt that spinach down. All right, next in is our rice. Because I fluffed it, it should come out a little bit easier. Can't get over that color. And once that's in, I just want to mix everything around. And now I am going to add a little bit of turmeric and paprika just because I want to. But they would add to color if we didn't have the saffron. Just a tiny bit of the turmeric because otherwise it'll leave a flavor. And then this is more smoked paprika, just another little hit. Like that. I'll mix that through. Now, our beans. The beans are totally optional, but I don't know. I like mixing my protein sources. I like having a lot of different proteins. Okay, this is starting to get a little stuck to the bottom, so I want to turn that down. Now, I know that is a feature of paella, but it's not my favorite feature. And just cause, I'm gonna throw a little bit more veggie broth in there just to keep things from sticking. Give it a mix. I mean, this is good as it is. You could eat this right now, but we ain't done yet. And in goes the soy curls. Give that a good mix through. Now the soy curls will absorb a lot of the excess liquid that might be in there and all the juices from everything, so they get nice and tasty. And because some people in this house do not like the sausage, I'll just be putting the sausage on top, but we will show you that in a few minutes because I want to give this just maybe 10 minutes or so on the stovetop for the veggies to continue cooking just that little bit and for the carrots to soften, and we'll be back soon to show you how it tastes. Now it is the best time of every cooking show. We get to taste it.
All right, I'm just gonna cram it into my mouth.
Yeah.
But I wanna make sure I get an olive and some of that soy curl. This is gonna be very unladylike. I apologize in advance.
I don't, but I will cut out the chewing noises. Okay, I've had a lot of paella because we used to live in Tampa Bay, and it's a big thing. It's huge over there at weddings when we were wedding photographers and stuff. This is probably the closest thing to the Cuban paellas that we had without the meats and stuff like that. Absolutely amazing, just unbelievable.
There are so many different textures and flavors in here that it's nearly overwhelming how good this is.
Yeah. Shocking. The rice with the little bit of saffron in there is really incredible. I'm trying to get just some rice.
The peas add a nice sweet pop of flavor. The smokiness of the sausage is so rich and dark compared to the light, almost fruity sensation that you're getting from the rice, from the saffron rice combo.
Yeah, just beautiful. The combination of flavors is wonderful. The little bit of brininess and chew from the olives is one of my favorite things in this. But overall, I think the chorizo, even though you can use it in so many things, works so well in this. I know a lot of people just do a ground chorizo. That's why I wanted to do more like a real, like sausage type chorizo.
Speaking of this chorizo, you can use those in so many ways. We've actually used them in tacos, and they're fantastic. Yep,
I ground them up. Actually, I chopped it up. But you can throw it in the food processor and grind them up too, which I've been experimenting with that. More to come on that. I have methods for ways to use ground up seitan, don't you worry. Okay, let's talk storage. First, the seitan, the chorizo, you can just use those however you want. You can freeze them, that kind of thing. They store well, just keep them in a sealed bag. The paella, probably best to eat it the first day. If you don't, you could probably put it in a sealed container for a few days. Microwave probably wouldn't be my favorite way to heat it back up, but anything else might dry it out, so you want to be careful.
Right. Lots of times a rice dish is going to need a little bit more moisture to reheat, and that is going to ruin the just right texture of the rice. So it'll be a less than stellar paella reheated. You had to go in for more, didn't you? We're going to eat the rest of this tonight and share it with our family. Is there a recipe that you're looking for that you would like a plant-based version made? Let us know in the comments below.
And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on The Bistro.